Real quick before we get started, I just want to say thank you to Arena Football Talk and the Arizona Rattlers for making this happen and giving me the opportunity to be credentialed media for this game. So thank you very much. I don't know what else to do or say, but I just want to say thank you. Week 18 matchup, a season finale at the Snake Pit between the Northern Arizona Wranglers and the Arizona Rattlers, in what potentially was a preview for the first round of the playoffs, and it did turn out that way because the Rattlers end up with a victory in this one. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Northern Arizona gets the ball first, and at 9 minutes, 38 seconds, Gibbons Jr., a 7-yard reception. It is 8-0 because of a drop kick, and that kind of set the tone. The Wranglers take that lead early, and in the back of my mind, knowing how good the Wranglers can be as a football team, they are the defending champions after all, I'm thinking this is going to be a very long night. The Arizona Rattlers get the ball back on the 12-yard line. Drew Powell, the very first offensive play, is an 11-yard run. Then a defensive pass interference gave the Arizona Rattlers a first down on the 12-yard line on the opposite side of the field. At the 5-minute, 34-second mark, Drew Powell finds Isaiah Scott for a 17-yard touchdown. At that point, it is 8-7 Wranglers, and the Rattlers kick the ball off. Then you have a couple of really good defensive plays by the Rattlers. Dobbs gets a pass deflection to force a third down, and then Dylan Winfrey's solid coverage leads to an incomplete pass, giving the Arizona Rattlers their first third down stop of the night. Next pass is incomplete. The Rattlers get the ball back with 1 minute and 1 second to go in the first quarter. And then after Northern Arizona pressures the quarterback, Drew Powell looked like he was going to go down for his first sack of the night. The Arizona Rattlers turn that into a 24-yard gain, followed by Jaeger Gardner with a 4-yard rushing touchdown, giving the Arizona Rattlers their first lead of the night, 14-8. 14-8 would be the score at the end of the first quarter. Solid defensive effort by the Rattlers. The Wranglers then go for a long field goal. It is no good, so the Rattlers get the ball back at the 20-yard line. Shortly after that, Drew Powell goes down for the first and only sack of the entire night. The Wranglers get that one. But that didn't really matter because Powell found Isaiah Houston for a 17-yard gain, making it a 3rd and 2. And then he found ASU alum Jamal Miles for a 20-yard gain, 1st and 10. Jaeger Gardner then punches in his second rushing touchdown of the night, that one being a 2-yard touchdown. Point after is good. 21-8 is your score with 7 minutes and 43 seconds to go in the second quarter. The Wranglers followed that up with 4 consecutive incomplete passes, turning the ball over on downs. Then with 2:19 to go in the first half, Drew Powell, a 7-yard rushing touchdown. Point after is good. It is 28-8 in favor of the Rattlers, a 20-point lead. Skip ahead to 34 seconds to go in the half. Ulrich Jones with a forced fumble, and then Chris Terrell with a 30-plus yard fumble recovery touchdown. The Arizona Rattlers have a 35-8 lead with 34 seconds to go in the first half. At that point for the Wranglers, Garrett Kettle then comes in at quarterback, and they go for a field goal attempt to end the first half. That is good. The score was 35-11 Rattlers at halftime. Then the Wranglers do something that confused me. So in the opening kickoff, they actually go for an onside kick. They recover it. Watson is back out there at quarterback. And then at the 13-minute, 10-second mark, Northern Arizona, they get a touchdown. The right back in this game is 35-19. Then they go for another onside kick. They recover that. And then at the 12-minute and 3-second mark, so about a minute apart, they score another touchdown. It is 35-25. It is now just a 10-point game. On the next offensive drive, Drew Powell finds Isaiah Houston for a 28-yard gain, but the offense kind of stutters a little bit. So Shane McCanery with a long field goal attempt. It is good. 38-25 Arizona, with 7 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the third quarter. The Rattlers then waste a challenge on an illegal defense call that probably should have been an offside call, but it is what it is. And the Northern Arizona Wranglers convert a third down for a 30-yard touchdown. The drop kick is good, and the score is 38-33 Rattlers with 4 minutes and 26 seconds to go in the third quarter, and this game is wide open. Northern Arizona goes with another onside kick. It goes directly off of Devontae Merriweather's hands, but the Arizona Rattlers do recover the ball on the 12-yard line. Very next play, Drew Powell finds Isaiah Houston for a 12-yard touchdown. Point after is good. 45-33 Rattlers. 45-33 would be the score at the end of the third quarter. Then the Rattlers have some pretty solid defensive plays, a couple of bad defensive penalties. It is what it is. You take the good with the bad. And then, in my opinion, on a really important play in the fourth quarter, Ulrich Jones gets a massive tackle for loss. Harold Love is loving it out there. He's getting pumped on the field. And then Northern Arizona goes for a field goal attempt. It is no good. And with 10 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, the Rattlers get the ball back. You then get a massive 45-yard touchdown. Drew Powell finding Jamal Miles Miles. And then after back-to-back false start penalties, the point after is good, 52-33 at that point with 9 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the game. Then for Northern Arizona, you get this crazy one-handed catch by Wisniewski. He does get the touchdown. Dylan Winfrey gets called for 2 holding penalties on the 2-point attempt, but the 2-point attempt failed because Taylor took down the quarterback on that third attempt. It is 52-39. Drew Powell gets one more long run in, a 14-yard rush for a first down. Then Shane McHenry comes in 53 seconds to go with a field goal, 55-39, and that would end up being your final. The Arizona Rattlers clinch first place in the West, and we will have a rematch of this game this upcoming weekend for the first round of the playoffs. Individual stats, Drew Powell, 11 for 15, 189 yards, 3 touchdowns. His longest was that 45-yard bomb to Jamal Miles. He also added 37 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Now, Jaeger Gardner, 5 attempts, 15 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. They actually did a pretty good job attacking the ground, but they didn't go to it too often. Gardner also had 2 receptions for 19 yards. As for the receiving, Isaiah Houston, 5 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Jamal Miles, 3 receptions, 68 yards and a touchdown. And Isaiah Scott, 1 reception for that 17-yard touchdown he had in the first quarter. On the defensive end of the ball, Chris Page, Dylan Winfrey, and Jermaine Dobbs each had a couple of pass breakups. Chris Terrell had a 31-yard fumble recovery touchdown, and Ulrich Jones forced that fumble. It was a solid game for the Rattlers. They took care of business. It was a very one-sided game in the first half, and then Northern Arizona comes out with all these onside kicks and is playing really well, closing that gap, making it at one point like a 5-point game. It was a 1-possession game. Then the Arizona Rattlers came out, they made the adjustments they needed to, the defense stood tall, and they walk away with this victory at the Snake Pit, and that's actually Coach Kevin Guy's 250th win. Congratulations, Coach, and here's to hopefully some more wins in the playoffs.